Scorpio, do you remember the moment she cursed you? She may not have used spells or rituals, but her silence was cold as death. Her words spoken in half-truths and venom-laced smiles left echoes in your bones. She tried to fracture something sacred inside you, not your image, not your reputation, but your spirit, your essence. And yet, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still holding your fire. This was never just a heartbreak. This was a spiritual assassination attempt. She didn't come for your outer world, she came for your inner sanctuary. Because she saw something in you that she could never own, something too rare, too radiant, too untamed. And like all things we cannot control, she tried to destroy it. But the curse she left behind, it didn't kill you, it ignited you. Because you, Scorpio, you were never meant to stay broken. You were always meant to become the alchemist. So pause, close your eyes for a breath. Feel what's returning to you. The power she tried to take is coming back, not as it was, but purified, sharper, holy. And this time you're not hiding it. You're not asking permission. You're not waiting for justice. You're becoming the justice. Because when a Scorpio survives a curse meant to destroy their soul, they don't just survive, they rise as something the universe itself bows to unbreakable, undeniable, unstoppable. Now come with me. Let me show you the sacred truth, what she tried to break. You turned into power. Part 1. The woman who wanted to break you. There was a woman. She came into your life like a whisper at first, soft, curious, magnetic. But her presence held something ancient, something off. And you, Scorpio, you felt it. That subtle warning in your gut, that flicker behind her smile. You tried to ignore it, because your heart, fiercely loyal, always sees potential before it sees danger. She studied you. She mirrored your depth. She learned your rhythms. She knew exactly what to say to make you trust. Not because she loved you, but because she wanted access to your source. You didn't just let her in, you let her deep, to places few ever reach. You showed her the inner corridors of your soul, the sacred, the hidden, the wounded. You thought she was different, but she wasn't. She was a student of your power, and when she realized she could never truly possess it, she turned. It wasn't a sudden betrayal. It was subtle. Withheld truths, passive wounds, moments where you questioned your own intuition. You started shrinking, doubting, scanning every word, every shift in energy. Not because you were weak, but because someone you trusted had slowly begun to poison your truth. She didn't just lie, she wanted to rewrite your story. And for a moment, she almost did. You began to silence yourself, to question the very things that once made you strong. You abandoned parts of your essence just to keep the peace, to hold together something that was already rotting beneath the surface. But Scorpio, here is what she didn't understand. Your soul is not made of glass, it is made of obsidian, formed under pressure, and when cut, it does not bleed, it sharpens. So when she thought she was breaking you, she was actually carving you. The cracks she left behind became the maps of your transformation. The silence she forced upon you became the womb of your power. And the love she could never return became the fuel of your rebirth. You didn't need revenge, you needed clarity. And now you see her for what she was. Not your mirror, not your match, but your initiator. She was never meant to stay. She was sent to test whether you would forsake yourself again or rise. And you, my dear Scorpio, you rose. Life lesson. Part 1. Not everyone who is drawn to your light comes with love. Some come with hunger, but the ones who try to take your essence only remind you that your essence is irreplaceable. And once you learn to guard your soul without hardening it, no curse spoken or silent can ever take you again. Part 2. The silent spiritual war. There are wars that are never declared. No weapons, no explosions, only silence, distance, and the invisible hand of energy, slowly turning your reality into a maze. Scorpio, you fought in those wars, the kind no one talks about because no one sees them, but you did. You felt them in your sleep, in the cold ache of a phone that never buzzed back, in the subtle shift in someone's tone, in the feeling of being watched in a room full of smiles. The war was never outside of you. It was around you, weaved in whispers, buried beneath fake laughter, hidden behind compliments that never felt real. You started waking up drained, not tired, drained, like something was feeding on you at night, like your spirit was fighting battles your body had no memory of. This was psychic warfare. And Scorpio, whether you knew it or not, you were the target, because you are the source. You don't borrow energy, you generate it. And those who live without light want yours. But here's the truth. They didn't expect Scorpio may sleep. Scorpio may retreat, but Scorpio never forgets. You began to trace the pattern, the same games played with new faces, the same emotional sabotage repackaged as connection. You saw through the masks, and when you see the invisible, you start to break the spell. It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about you finally recognizing the war zone you were born to master. You stopped playing defense. You pulled your energy back. You sealed the leaks in your aura. You cut the cord not with anger, but with awareness. And that was the moment you became dangerous. Because when Scorpio becomes conscious of the game ends. You didn't have to scream. You didn't have to explain. You didn't have to get closure. You just had to remember your silence is a sword, and your withdrawal is a ritual of power. Life lesson. Part 2. You don't need to fight loud battles to prove your strength. The most powerful souls win silently. Scorpio doesn't destroy enemies, they dissolve illusions. And once you see the truth behind the war, you never play small again to stay safe. Part 3. The shattering point. Scorpio, every war has a turning point. Not the moment the enemy falls, but the moment you decide that your peace is no longer negotiable. And for you, it wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic. It didn't happen with a door slam or a final scream. It happened in stillness, in that one breath, where something inside you quietly whispered, "Enough." That was the shattering point. The moment the spell broke, the illusion she cast, the story that you were too much, too intense, too emotional, too hard to love. It collapsed under the weight of your awakening. You looked around and realized, this wasn't love, this wasn't soul alignment, this was power play wrapped in affection. This was spiritual starvation dressed up as intimacy. She didn't betray you in that final moment. She betrayed you long before, in the moments she made you question your worth in the quiet ways. She let you carry the weight of both your pain and hers. But that night you stopped searching for closure. You stopped trying to prove your love, to fix what was never yours, to repair, to decode the riddles of her brokenness. You just stood still. And in that stillness, everything broke. But it wasn't you. It was the invisible prison you didn't realize you were living in. It was the trauma bond, the soul contract now fulfilled, the spell undone. And when it shattered, you didn't crumble. You exhaled. For the first time in months, maybe years, your spirit remembered what freedom felt like. Not the freedom of escape, but the freedom of returning to yourself. That was the real shift. That was the moment the phoenix opened its eyes beneath the ashes, not with rage, but with clarity. You didn't just walk away, you rose away. And in that quiet exit, you did something sacred. You chose yourself. Life lesson. Part 3. Not every collapse is a tragedy. Sometimes it is a sacred demolition. The breaking point is not where you fall apart, it's where you stop betraying yourself. And once you reclaim that inner silence, no one can ever chain your spirit again. Part 4. The return to the throne. You didn't rise in rage, you rose in remembrance. Remembrance of who you were before the betrayal, before the confusion, before you gave your crown away to be loved. Scorpio, you were never meant to beg for belonging. You were born royalty in the soul, but royalty that had to be earned not through privilege, but through descent, through fire, through breaking and reassembly. Your power isn't loud, it's not performative. It's the kind of power that walks into a room and shifts the temperature without a word. And now, after all the pain, the silence, the unraveling, you return to your throne, not the throne they thought you would need, but the one you built yourself from every scar, every truth, every lesson. You sit differently now, straighter, quieter, more complete. Your crown isn't made of gold, it's made of boundaries. It's made of knowing. It's made of the unshakable truth that you will never again abandon yourself just to be loved. You don't fear loneliness anymore because you've made peace with your solitude. You don't chase understanding because you finally understand yourself. You don't crave validation because your very existence is the evidence of divine favor. And now something strange begins to happen. They start returning. The ones who dismissed you, the ones who played with your loyalty. They feel the shift, because when a Scorpio reclaims their throne, every unhealed connection begins to feel it. Your energy no longer bends to meet people where they are. It rises. And either they rise to meet it, or they fall away. This isn't ego, this is alignment. You're not seeking revenge. You're not proving your worth. You're simply vibrating so high that only the true can stay. And this Scorpio is the throne you were always meant to rule from, not in armor, but in sovereignty. Life lesson, part 4. You don't have to fight for the space you were born to occupy. You just have to stop shrinking. Your throne was never lost. It was only waiting for you to stop surviving and start remembering. When you choose yourself, the world either aligns or removes itself from your kingdom. Part 5, the sacred reward. Scorpio, you didn't survive all this for nothing. The universe was never punishing you. It was preparing you. Every person who betrayed you, every door that shut in your face, every night you sat in silence, holding your soul together with invisible threads, it was all part of a design you couldn't yet see. But now, the energy shifts, not loud, not sudden, but real. A strange stillness enters your life, not because nothing is happening, but because everything is being rearranged on your behalf. This is the beginning of the sacred reward. But it's not what the world thinks of as reward. It's not fame, not applause, not money thrown at your feet. Those things are fleeting echoes. No. This reward is sovereign peace, a silence so full it drowns out every past scream, a sense of self so grounded that even chaos cannot move it. You start waking up differently, your breath feels fuller, colors look sharper, you notice synchronicities again, numbers, signs, messages whispered in moments of calm. You stop asking for signs because you become the sign. The people you attract now speak to your soul, not your wounds. The opportunities feel aligned, not forced. The love that begins to form in the background, it doesn't feel like hunger. It feels like recognition. And here's the most miraculous part. You don't feel the need to chase any of it, because something inside you knows the reward was never outside of you. It was you remembering your true frequency. And now that you've reclaimed it, everything else is simply following the vibration. Life lesson. Part 5, true reward is not given, it is remembered. When you choose your own energy over external approval, the universe doesn't grant you peace, it mirrors your power back to you. And the reward is not the thing you gain, it's the soul you become in the process. Part 6, you are the phoenix. Scorpio, you are not just someone who survived the fire, you are the fire. And what the world never understood about you is this. You were never afraid of endings, because somewhere deep inside you always knew you were born to rise from them. The phoenix isn't just your symbol, it's your essence. You don't just heal, you burn it all down, the illusion, the false identity, the mask you wore to be accepted so that something true can finally live. Most people fear collapse. You walk into it. Most people avoid the shadow. You descend into it with open eyes and a steady heart, not for thrill, but for truth. You have died many times, not physically, but spiritually, versions of you that were attached to illusions, versions of you that loved too hard, gave too much, stayed too long. You buried them, and from their ashes, you rose with a new name. There's a sacred violence in your transformation, not cruel, but holy, because when you finally burn, you don't come back weaker. You come back cleaner, clearer, wiser, more unshakably you. This is why some fear you, because they know consciously or not that to be close to a Scorpio is to be exposed, to stand next to truth that cannot be manipulated. And here's the secret they'll never say out loud, the ones who tried to destroy you. They always knew. If you ever rose from what they did to you, you'd be unstoppable. And now you have. You are no longer the version of you who begged for clarity. You are no longer the energy that apologized for your depth. You are no longer the shadowed soul trying to fit into something that couldn't contain you. You are flame. You are flight. You are power reborn. Life lesson, part 6. You are not here to be understood by the masses. You are here to embody the rarest truth that death is not the end for those who carry sacred fire. The phoenix doesn't fear destruction, it requires it because in the burning all that is false disappears, and only the soul remains. Part 7. From fire to stillness. Scorpio, after the fire, there is stillness. Not silence from absence, but silence from completion. You are no longer in survival mode. You are no longer bracing for the next betrayal. You are no longer scanning every room for energetic threats, because now you live from your center. And when you live from your center, the world bends to your frequency. There is a power that doesn't shout, a force that doesn't announce itself. It simply is. And you, Scorpio, have become that force. You're not trying to manifest love anymore, because love built on survival is no longer welcome in your field. You're not trying to heal what already left, because the past is no longer your responsibility, only your alignment is. You've stopped reacting, you've stopped explaining, you've stopped editing your essence to make others feel comfortable. And that alone is a spiritual revolution. You're not cold, you're clear, you're not guarded, you're sovereign. You're not above anyone, but you are no longer beneath yourself. This is the stillness that Scorpio earns, not the stillness of defeat, but the stillness of mastery. And the world will notice, not because you post about it, but because your presence now disrupts illusions. You no longer move through life trying to fit into rooms. You become the room, and those who are meant for your new frequency will feel it before you even speak. Life lesson, part 7. True power is not about how much noise you make. It's about how little you need to. When Scorpio stops reacting and starts resonating, the world no longer controls the outcome, it simply adjusts to your truth. Stillness is not weakness, stillness is signal. Part 8. The karmic realignment begins. Scorpio, when you shift internally, the universe responds. Not just energetically, but logistically. People start falling away effortlessly. Old opportunities dissolve. Conversations go quiet. Not because something's wrong, but because something higher is being aligned. This is karmic realignment, the invisible reordering of your external life to match the frequency of your internal transformation. And it always begins subtly. You start to notice the space, the stillness, the invitations not answered, the text you don't feel compelled to send anymore. The person you used to chase no longer feels magnetic. You feel lighter but not empty. You feel ready but not desperate. And then synchronicities arrive. The dream that felt too far begins to show signs. A stranger says something that feels like prophecy. Someone from your past reappears not to tempt you, but to show you how far you've come. You're not the same, and so the world must change. New doors begin to unlock, but only when you stop knocking on the old ones. That job you thought passed you by now returns with new terms. That love you thought lost forever either returns transformed or is replaced with something truer. You'll begin to attract people who don't just like your power but respect it, who don't flinch at your depth but meet you in it, who don't confuse your silence with weakness but recognize it as mastery. Scorpio, you are not just calling in a new chapter, you are calling in a new realm, a dimension that only opens when the soul has walked through fire and come out holy. And the most beautiful part, you don't have to force any of it. You just have to stay aligned, stay still, stay true. The rest is already on its way. Life lesson. Part 8. When you transform at the soul level, the universe doesn't reward you with comfort, it rewards you with alignment. People may vanish, plans may crumble, but that's not rejection, it's redirection. Your only job is to stop chasing and start receiving from the frequency of your truth. Conclusion. The warrior is now the sovereign. Scorpio, you didn't just survive, you remembered. You remembered that pain doesn't make you weak, it forges you. That betrayal doesn't make you unlovable, it makes your love more discerning. And that endings are not punishment, they are portals. You walked through the fire, but you did not become the flame. You became its master. You faced the woman who tried to curse you. You watched as her power collapsed under the weight of your truth. You chose not revenge, but reclamation. And now, you stand in the stillness of your soul, not waiting for what's next, but commanding what's true. This is the moment your life begins again, not from fear, not from pain, but from sovereignty. So here's what I want you to do. Breathe, as if your lungs have finally returned to your body. Stand up, even if only in spirit. Place a hand over your heart and say quietly or out loud, I reclaim my throne. Let it echo, let it settle, let the universe hear it. Because now, Scorpio, the reward isn't coming, it's already here. And it wears your name. Final life lesson. Your story was never about how they hurt you. It was about how you remembered who you were after. Not everyone is chosen to walk through fire, but you were, because the soul you carry was never meant to survive quietly. It was meant to reign unapologetically. Call to action, Koi video. If this message stirred something inside you, leave a whisper of your power in the comments below. Just write one truth you're ready to reclaim, or type it loud, I reclaim my throne. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the Path to Buddha Wisdom, because this is not the end of your journey, it's only the beginning of your rise.